to a new RFM News for our sponsor Terrace Boating at Heatherbrae. Boats are fun. Get yourself one.
It's 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Jonathon Momsen with 2 new RFM Hunter News. A report is being prepared for the coroner after a single car accident has claimed the life of a 24-year-old man near Stroud last night. At about 11 p.m, the car left the road hitting a tree, leaving the passenger with minor injuries while the driver died at the scene. Police established a crime scene and inquiries are continuing into the cause of the crash. Newcastle retail workers may be forced to work during Christmas and Boxing Day under the New South Wales Government's introduction of the Retail Trading Amendment Bill, which is being described as an attack on the state's workers and families. Workers' associations are expected to protest the bill, which they believe is offensive to the thousands of New South Wales families who spend Christmas together. Newcastle Secretary for the Shop, Distributive and Allied Employees Association, Barbara Niebart, says any economic benefit to this bill would come at a huge social cost.
There's no economic argument whatsoever that it will create jobs. One, we know that doesn't happen. It's the last 2 days in the year where that are public holidays together, where retail workers can get together with their families. And let's face it, it's Christmas.
Hoons in the Hunter are being put on notice after a P-plater was arrested overnight at Kooragang Island. It's alleged that the 19-year-old performed an aggravated burnout before having his licence confiscated by police. The Port of Newcastle is joining with police for Operation Hammer and aims to crack down on dangerous driving. Residents of Toronto and Belmont could face round trips of up to 6 hours on public transport to get to the Warners Bay Motor Registry services after the centres shut their doors this month. The planned closure was debated in Parliament yesterday following the tabling of a petition signed by 11,000 residents. Lake Macquarie MP Greg Piper says the move is likely to disadvantage residents rather than improve service.
The government has also taken a view that many of their services are now available online and that people will take up those options. That's true. I believe that the logical site for Service New South Wales is to be in Toronto, and I think that many people are going to be greatly disadvantaged.
A researcher at the University of Newcastle has been named one of Australia's tall poppies in science at the prestigious New South Wales Young Tall Poppy Science Awards. Dr. Nicola Bowden, a molecular biologist, has been recognised for both her scientific achievement and engagement with the community through social media platforms. Her breakthrough research interest is DNA repair in melanoma and ovarian cancers.
Within melanoma and ovarian cancer, we study the DNA repair process that recognises chemotherapy when it's given. And we've discovered that a particular DNA repair process doesn't work in melanoma at all, and it switches off in ovarian cancer when they become chemo-resistant. So we're working to switch it back on.
The annual Newcastle Asthma Meeting is set to be held today at HMI building with international speakers from around the world gathering at the event. Professor Brett Finlay from the University of British Columbia is expected to discuss protecting infants from asthma, while Professor Gang Wang from West China will talk about the links between asthma and obesity. Professor Finlay says research into gut bacteria is a key point in understanding asthma.
For example, if you have a dog in the household, for example, that decreases asthma by 20%. If you live in a farm, you have less asthma. If you have antibiotics in the first year of life, you have much higher rates of asthma. So all these things, point to the role that gut microbes may actually influence asthma outcome.
In finance, the All Ords is up 91 points at 53.55 and $1 Australian dollar is buying 72.29 US cents.
Sport, thanks to our sponsor, Warners Bay Sports Club's Melbourne Cup Carnival.
The Newcastle Jets will be hoping to bring dominance back to the fore ahead of tonight's clash with Melbourne. It follows 6 years of horror form for the victory at Hunter Stadium, racking up 4 draws and losses apiece in a less than stellar record. But it could prove a task for the injury-depleted home side, with Melbourne back to full strength for the first time this season. It seems a promotion's on the cards for Nelson Bay Marlins star Sean McGrath ahead of a new season in the Black Diamond AFL as he prepares to make the move from player to coach. The 39-year-old was forced to hang up his boots after undergoing an incredible 10th knee surgery last month. He's promising to help drive the club into the semis following 2 years of heartbreaking final misses. And in cricket, Newcastle Steel are preparing to take the fight to an undefeated Randwick Petersham in the semi-finals of the Sydney 2020 Cup after recording 2 impressive wins at the group stage. That's sport. I'm Belinda Delas Harris.
To New RFM News Time is 1:05.